welcome to this special edition of Eye on Election. I'm your host, Tony Redman. When I got up to post this video this morning, the title was, Who Will Lead the Change? Then I got news that the University of Toronto debate, climate change, the debate I thought was the most important during this election campaign, had been canceled due to scheduling conflicts. So I had to make a quick adjustment and change the title to reflect the news of the day. This election is unique in many ways. One thing that's very unusual is that there are over 100 candidates running for the position of Mayor of Toronto, and over 90 of them know very well that they have little chance of success. So why is this happening? I've had the opportunity to speak with many candidates and review several platforms to try to understand this phenomenon. And from what I can deduce, Toronto residents are angry and afraid. Toronto has long been considered one of the best cities in the world to live in and is still considered one of the top 10 cities in the world. So why are we so disgruntled? Are we spoiled or have we become used to excellence? The answer is neither. Statements by candidates Mark Saunders and Josh Matlow partially explain the reason why Torontonians are so upset. Saunders states, what's going on in government right now is not aligned with the needs of the people. Based on my interactions with some of the candidates, citizens, and in my personal experiences, I must agree with this statement totally. Our elected officials are completely detached from the reality of what people experience based on the decisions they make. We need leaders that take responsibility and accountability for the quality of and the standards and the outcomes of service delivery of our public service programs and projects. Because they have no personal stake in socially oriented policies, most public officials and corporate leaders have a monetary perspective only on these issues. Consequently, all their solutions are presented in monetary terms. Invest 300 million in this and commit 500 million to that. But exactly how the money will be spent, how success will be measured, and where the lines of responsibility and accountability lay, no one can explain. Throwing millions of dollars into poorly planned and implemented projects only result in a waste of money. We have evidence of this right now on Eglinton Avenue. There are many other examples of our government's detachment from the reality of people. So Saunders' point must be given serious consideration, given that the primary responsibility of a democratic government is to serve the needs of the people. Candidate Josh Matlow has repeatedly stated, let's get back to reality. I agree totally. The reality I speak of is the macro or global level issues that will impact all government decisions moving forward. That reality is best expressed by quotes from two highly intelligent, renowned, and well-respected men on the planet, Professor Noam Chomsky and Sir David Attenborough. Chomsky stated that the human species has been around for over 100,000 years and is now in a very unique time in history. The species will soon decide whether the experiment in so-called intelligent life will proceed, or are we determined to destroy it? Attenborough asks, is this how our history is due to end? A tale of the smartest species, doomed by that all-true characteristic of failing to see the bigger picture. Failing to see the bigger picture is the same as failing to see reality. This is my interpretation of Matlow's reference to reality. The one question that will surely be answered in the next 30 years is whether we are an intelligent species or not. The big picture issues facing us today are climate change and environmental erosion, the constant threat of nuclear war and all other incidents of tribal conflict, war, and ethnic oppression, The hunger, suffering, and displacement of millions of human beings due to the climate change, wars, and conflicts, and the collapse of our economic systems. As Chomsky stated, we are at a unique time in history, and the leaders of the next few decades will decide the fate of humanity. So we can ill afford leaders that are either detached from the suffering of their constituents or from the macro level realities that should inform their decision making. There are thousands of people out there that know that we can win this battle, but we cannot win it if our decision makers are either in denial or continue to operate from a divisive or self serving mindset. This quote from Claire Farrell, co founder of the group Extinction Rebellion, clearly expresses the reality of our governing systems and the root causes of our problems. She says, we have an economic system that is set up to engage in perpetual growth on a finite planet, alongside a political system that is short termist by design. She goes on to say, so you have an intersection of multiple systems that are incompatible with solving our problems. That statement is profound, accurate, and true. We are definitely operating with multiple systems that are not only incompatible with solving our problems, they are contributing to our demise. The first thing that must change if we are to effectively address these systemic issues is our mindset towards leadership and governance. Environmental activist Vandana Shiva describes the leadership mindset required to defeat climate change and the other social challenges that we face. She describes that mindset as oneness. Oneness, she says, is the recognition that we are part of one planet and we are one humanity. And unless we live with that level of consciousness and shape every moment of our production and consumption with that consciousness, we are going to destroy ourselves, which we are. Toronto has an opportunity and a responsibility as one of the most admired and respected cities in the world to play a leadership role in delivering a healthy planet to the next generation. Only a few of the candidate platforms that I've seen reflect any significant consideration of the climate crisis or any other global threats that will inevitably impact their mayoral decisions. It is unfortunate that our political system is divisive and competitive in nature because collectively, our candidates possess all the experience and fresh ideas needed to guide us through these challenging times. Experience is critical in leadership roles, especially in view of our current reality. Understanding the processes, the culture, and the peculiarities of politics allows experienced leaders to get things done faster. Some of the leading candidates are relying heavily on their political experience to get elected. But unless leaders have a habit of continuous learning and growth, they may be stuck in a particular mindset, a particular ideology, and decision making pattern. Consequently, change and fresh ideas become very difficult to embrace. At this point in time, we need experienced leaders that are not only willing to embrace change, but to lead change. And that is very hard to find. If our next mayor is going to lead us in the right direction, matters of ego, personal agendas, and tribal allegiances must be put aside, or at the very least, be secondary to performing mayoral duties with the highest degree of consciousness and responsibility. That is the only path to resolving our social and environmental challenges. Candidate Frank D'Angelo believes that Toronto can be a leading city on environmental issues, but this does not appear to be a priority of the front-running candidates at this time. Toronto can be a global leader on environmental and many other issues like diversity, social justice, and the quality of life for citizens. The question is, do we want that? Do we want to be a leading city on sustainability, justice, and peace? Or do we want to stay on our current path of further division, widening inequity, and constantly increasing poverty and crime? Change is needed. One of the noteworthy platforms I've seen is that of candidate Chloe Brown. Her plan demonstrates a clear understanding of the type of integrated solutions required for these challenges. Her plan for integrating technology, recycling and reusing principles, and housing development is the type of all-inclusive solutions that we require. This model can address three issues that affect us: housing, environmental protection, and employment. There are other good ideas offered by some of the other candidates, and I hope that the incoming mayor will give them the consideration and the credit they deserve. Candidate Naya Singh, for instance, plans on inviting the top 100 employers of Toronto to provide stable salaried positions for at-risk individuals and those with criminal records, a policy that suggests he recognizes that the primary contributing factors to crime and homelessness are employment and income. The assumption that everyone that is homeless suffers from mental illness is inaccurate, although spending any length of time in a homeless position is likely to result in one developing mental illness. Singh's platform is one of a few that takes a preventative approach to addressing homelessness and poverty, something none of our social service programs currently practice or deliver. In a few weeks, Toronto will determine its direction. I sincerely hope that our candidates and voters take their responsibilities seriously and make the right choices. We owe it to ourselves and to the rest of the world. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. For more information on the critical issues that affect us all as global citizens, please visit our website, advocateforchange.com. And don't forget to subscribe and share.